I'm going to do the same with my kids. And you know what? I'm even going to challenge you to something back. So you have this rich interactive experience where everybody who comes in can pick how they want to engage. And just as importantly, they can pick how they want to be rewarded. How many of you have ever ran home at the end of the day and said, hey, guess what? I just registered for a sweepstakes. Nobody. It's not going to happen, right? So we got to find ways to help people recognize that there's different types of prizes for different types of people. For your cookie engagement, we may have the option of having people earn points and win their yummy t-shirt. Or guess what? They could just interact and we have everybody win prizes. If you decide that you want to use that coupon and we know there's a cost associated with that, we can put your brand new cookie flavor in for a prize people can automatically win when they come in. So they immediately build affinity with your brand. And guess what? We get 25 times the redemption rates on the coupons that we execute through Coupons Inc. with our technology. So you know that you're going to get a reliable redemption rate, get people into the stores to try it. And equally, you don't have to have 1 million prizes. We can put 100 t-shirts in there if you want and have a raffle. People can spend points and buy raffle tickets. So now even the people who normally wouldn't be excited about participating in an event can say, there's actually a chance I could win that thing. And the prize vault's limitless. You can put all kinds of exciting things in there. And so half of the challenge we're going to face is how do we really leverage this? And we can get the people in this to spend tons of time because when they're in there earning prizes and interacting with their friends and sharing and getting people to vote on their ideas, guess what? They want to share it. And what that produces is truly astounding metrics. We get millions of interactions. One of our clients got over 1 billion impressions. We're not talking millions, billions of impressions across the course of several campaigns in a year. We got hundreds of thousands of votes on most executions, and in fact, sometimes more. We get thousands and thousands. The key is that people want to share, but you gotta let them share how they want to share. And we get 18 page views on average across our executions in more than 6 minutes. Many times we get more than that. We've got events with more than 17 minutes of participation. If that's not engagement, I don't know what is. That's better than most games. And they're giving their ideas and sharing with their friends. So the cool part here is this is not just one experience. I really think it makes sense for you, Dave, to say, look, let's start with this Chores for Cookies campaign, but let's build on it. Let's do a second one that says, hey, let's create your own currency of cookies. We'll do that, create your own cookie, but in the fun of what's the ultimate cookie that somebody would want to buy from you. And we'll get all those ideas in there and people will fight about them. And then we're actually going to skip the third one and talk about the fourth because you mentioned, how's the company going to keep up with this? Well, we're going to take the create your own currency, pick the five most popular cookies out of that campaign, and we're going to have in the fourth quarter a cookie tycoon contest. Because by then, we know that your cookie company can have the R&D department whip up a few bags. And the prizes will be, hey, whoever wins the cookie tycoon contest not only wins a grand prize, but people who vote on them also get a chance to win a bag of the cookies before it hits the market. So you can imagine how you can integrate incredible campaigns over the course of the year that all just keep building on each other and creating this kind of astounding and ever-growing audience that's fully engaged. So you might say, gee, Bart, that's okay, but you know what? I don't agree with this whole plan you came up with. Because in fact, going back for a second, we've already built this. Because our campaign is infinitely scalable in what we can build, and we can build it quickly. Because what we did is we go from sketch, literally having artists, not geeks, sit down and come up with what is a creative approach to engaging this audience, and we can build it in a matter of days. We have a fully drag and drop, WYSIWYG interface where you can say, I want the cookie over here. So now all those times when your client came to you and said, oh, I want to redo a couple of buttons here, and you have to have 16 pieces of paper go back and forth for weeks, you can make that change live in front of the client and help them realize how to make the event better and adjust midstream if you need to. That's an amazing transformation of how engagements happen. So you might ask yourself, what would you pay for this type of engagement? Would you pay $500,000? $1 million? $2 million? Many people do. No, but wait, there's more. Because Bulbstorm takes it beyond the campaign and the technology itself. This is actually a project. You have people involved. You have to manage content. So we actually have fully built into our technology campaign timing and restrictions. We've got moderation tools, so if the content's good or bad. We even have on every piece of content the same kind of flags in Facebook that says you, the user, can report this as inappropriate. And we handle that automatically so your community managers aren't bogged down in minutia. We have prize fulfillment tracking, user management, reporting that lets you go back to the customer and say, wow, what a great experience. And we also know you can't always handle everything in every campaign. So if you need the services, guess what? We can help you on the service side as well. And as importantly, we got the best tech in the universe. We use the same technology as Facebook, Zynga, and Netflix, and we even passed the most stringent standards of Intel for a competition they ran on our platform. And of course, we've been 100% compliant with Facebook Terms of Service since 2008. So if that's not safety, I don't know what is. So I'll bring it to you again. How much would you pay for this campaign and this set of campaigns? I'll tell you today only, You can have this for only 2 easy payments of $24,999. Huh? But wait, if you act now, we'll throw in a second campaign absolutely free. That's right, 2 of the most amazing engagements you've ever seen for only 2 easy payments of $24,999. Buy now. Thank you. Questions?
Yeah, I've got a bunch because I'm as entertained as I am terrified to present this to the client.
I'll do it for you, no problem.
The biggest thing I'm wondering is, how do you think this is going to go over with the original idea of moms bribing kids with cookies to do household chores?
I think it's a fantastic question. The great part about our creative ideation at the beginning is to really understand the dynamics of the brand. If it's Cookies Oh Boy or something that's very family focused, we'd want to phrase those questions in a manner that's mom friendly and make sure that the ask, in a sense, of what we're requesting in user content isn't scary or going to produce bad material. Let's say it's an edgier cookie. I don't know what an edgy cookie looks like, but there probably should be one because it would probably sell. They might want to push the envelope and have a little more aggressive approach. So keep in mind, what we want to do is structure this around the dynamic gaming mechanics we've built and have proven. And you don't have to rebuild it from scratch. If you go find a new customer and say, I want to try a new kind of experience, you got to go spend 200 or 300 grand today to build that engagement, and you don't know if it's going to work. You can take the modules from our technology that we've shown have worked for this cookie company or another and say, you know what, I'm going to change the question, the dynamics, the look and feel to generate the kind of content this client wants. And of course, you can offer moderation. So we all know that you'd have some folks in there who want to propose things for cookies that we don't want proposed. So of course, you can have pre-moderation if the brand wants that. We don't typically recommend that. Most executions, the fans themselves are very good about self-policing the content.
Thanks. And one more, have you done any kinds of programs where you're using other kinds of objects or brands or goods as cookies? Because I know that I'm just worried that there are some issues of now the cookie becoming a currency, and now all of a sudden the FTC is stepping in and regulating this Facebook campaign.
Yeah, we would not want to promise cookies as legal tender. That's fair enough. I certainly don't think that's a particular risk in the context here, but we've worked, to answer your question, we've worked with all kinds of different brands in a very diverse set of environments. We've worked with Intel for what's the phone of the future, and that was a very techie, fun one about what's a great new way to kind of let the home phone evolve beyond what it's always been. We've got 5,000 rich submissions from consumers, and ultimately they managed this again in a broader campaign context and made one of those winners the VP for a day and reintroduced all that content back into social. We've done things with insurance companies, so you can imagine all the legal restrictions in the financial sector. So part of what's important here is to recognize Bulbstorm always brings a philosophy of marketing, not just technology. We want to make sure that it lives to your standards, lives to the brand standards, and is going to produce an experience that's engaging for the fans and grows your brand.
All right, thanks a lot, Bart.
Thanks.
Now we've got Mike from Social Vibe.
David, thanks for having me in. I just ran into the most excited guy in the lobby. I hope I'm not presenting after him. So, wait, what? Oh, crap. Well, here goes nothing. Social Vibe is a brand that actually, it's not a destination site. We've actually partnered with the destination sites where people already are in social media. So Facebook, Zynga, Pandora causes Wi-Fi access like here at the hotel. We go to places where people are already interacting and engaging. Instead of asking them to go somewhere else to interact with advertising, we find the endemic currency or value within those places where they already are, and then we ask them to give us their attention in exchange for some form of currency. Zynga, maybe it's farm cash. Pandora, access to music. Facebook credits, that's what we're going to give them for that attention, for that moment in time where they're going to turn to your brand and say, okay, what do you have to say to me as a consumer? It's a value exchange that actually makes that publisher's consumer relationship better. It makes the advertiser relationship better because they're giving you your attention, and the consumer is going to get something out of it at the end of the day. So the question becomes, if we're giving them, that's what it is, it's turning that thing off that turns the TV off. If we're going to give them currency, what are they going to pay attention to? What is that thing that we're going to ask them to take a look at? So I'm sure you haven't seen this idea before from any of the people to my left, to my right. But we're going to take those moments, those value exchanges, and we're going to drive people to an experience. And Social Vibe builds engagements, but only one engagement that lives across social media. You build it once, and you run it everywhere. What you're building has to have 4 things based on the tenets of how we work. 1, you have to let it be personalized. Let it be a back and forth between you and the consumer. Let them kind of choose their own adventure. 2nd, treat it as a conversation. Don't shout at them. They gave you their attention. 3rd, provide a connection point, whether it's liking on Facebook or clicking to your site. You actually are having a conversation. Don't miss that opportunity to create that connection with them. And then finally, a sharing component. Make them, let them, ask them to share it on the back end. And we decided, because you had asked to create buzz around this campaign, to focus on that last component, to get consumers to share. So going back to that first tenet of allowing them to personalize their experience, we have 3 things that consumers can do. When I opt in as a consumer to this ad experience and say, I'm ready, I'm going to have 3 choices. The first is I'm going to be able to share my favorite cookie experience. And maybe we put your TV content next to that. So as I'm thinking of my favorite cookie experience with a brand when I was a kid, I'm actually watching your content at the same time. The second is we're going to create kind of a Where's Waldo, but using cookies. And it's a gamification model where the more they play, the better score they're going to get. And people actually might repeat the engagement to get a better score because they don't want to share that they got a 1 out of 10 with their friends. And the final is the ability to create their own cookie. Create a Franken cookie using the dough that they want, the filling that they want, the toppings that they want. Just allow them to have fun around your brand, all in this safe wrapper that hasn't left that experience. So you can see in the background that that's a Cityville experience. I'm not on your site. I'm not in a takeover ad unit. I can still see that experience in the background. Provides comfort. It adds to that value that you're giving them, that currency, that value exchange, and keeps them there to the tune of 60 seconds on average for the bulk of our campaigns. Now, what you see happening beyond this engagement is a few things. Obviously, we're talking about all of these things sharing, but what are those shares going to give you? The first is obvious, earned media. Anything that goes out there is going to generate impressions and actually more engagements, and all of that earned media is free. The second component is you can take those shares that happen on Facebook and Twitter, publish them to your own brand site. We'll create the API so that you can actually use those. You get to pick the ones you want to post there so you don't post potentially negative ones, but you have access to all that content. And then finally, do a word-of-mouth qualitative research component on this, which is when people share it and then their friends click on those shares, find out how valuable that was. We'll actually do research studies to find out if 1,000 people click on those shares, what did that do to their consideration? How much more likely are they to buy the product? Now, you said coupons was a piece, but maybe not a big piece. Within each of these consumer experiences, we're going to ask their cookie preferences with your competition. Only those people that choose the #1 cookie brand, your biggest competitor, are we going to retarget with coupons. No cannibalization. You're only getting the people that you're not currently getting now. So to talk about results really quickly, the first thing that you're going to get with the $50,000 campaign, because we want to just start at the basics and see what we can do so we can learn together, is people. 125,000 of these engagements. On average, they're going to be 60 seconds. If they do all 3 of those things I just walked through, could be up to 3 minutes. You'll get results in the form of qualitative and quantitative information, but on average for CPG brands, it's a 50% lift in consideration for buying a CPG product. All of these are opt-in experiences. We're never going to gate or pop over or interrupt a consumer's experience. They're always going to choose to do it. The metrics, quantitative, our own, yours, qualitative, same thing. The stuff that we report, the stuff that you want to report with your partners. Cookie ideas, whether you want to use them or not, you're going to have them from consumers. 50,000 shares on Facebook and Twitter from those 125,000 people. Our benchmark average that we can hit is 40% of people actually sharing it to all of their friends. You'll get intelligence from that word-of-mouth effectiveness to actually be an expert at your company when that new CMO comes in and says, what do you know about us in social? You'll have that expert third-party intelligence that you can say is your own and that you did. And then over-delivery to that point of earned media, all of the things that happen out past when things are shared are going to be yours to keep. And the next was actually just because I needed the N to spell the word promotion, because at the end of the day, I think that you'll be able to spell out why you should get one, and definitely your client's going to be able to spell out the same thing. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mike. So with those numbers at the end, is there anything that you're seeing that's part of this idea, this brand, everything specific to what you're presenting today, that you think is really just it makes this poised to outperform your benchmarks?
When the sharing component at 40%, when we focus on sharing as the main KPI from within an engagement, we can get it to 40%. If we were to focus on time spent, that share would go down to about 10%. So you're outperforming the bulk of the campaigns when you're focusing on that sharing component on Facebook and Twitter, and that's a benchmark. We've had up to 75%. So what we would do, and what we do with every campaign, is we launch it, and then we immediately optimize to get all of those numbers across the board up.
And so, you were having this experience live very much in a kind of gaming realm in this context. I know it can live elsewhere. Do you think that it's enough to make this a very virtual, customize your own cookie thing, even if that's not, what you can really get out of the brand from the store shelves?
Yeah, I think people want to feel like a brand is listening to them. And I think that's what this kind of idea does, is it provides an opportunity for them to invest their own ideas in the brand. If they're not going to get a fudge cookie with lime frosting and coconut toppings, I don't think they're going to be upset. They're actually going to appreciate two things. One, that you invited them into a conversation, and two, that they got some sort of value on the back end out of it.
All right, so we've seen 4 great presentations. Now what's going to happen, I want to open this up to your questions. I've got a couple others, but I don't want to even need to ask them. And then we'll do some informal polling at the end to see what the studio audience thinks. So questions here about any of their specific ideas, what their companies are doing. Who's got the first one before Kathy goes and does her? I have another question that we haven't heard yet today.
I'm a reporter. What can I say? I ask questions.
All right, we've got someone beating the Kathy clock. Oh, two. So.
Hi, Mitchell Reichert from June Group. So, question for you guys, I guess for any or all of you: is there a minimum guaranteed engagement that comes with your program?
In terms of how many consumers or time spent, or yeah, we know what our minimums are. Like, we know what the bottom end of the range that gets us to our benchmarks, and we'll effectively guarantee that because we know our worst campaigns have still outperformed some other people's best campaigns, and we'll communicate that to the client. Are we going to guarantee that they'll spend 35 seconds? No, because somebody may spend 7 seconds, another person may spend 3 minutes. So.
Yeah.
Hi, Michelle from Razorfish. So my question is, how do you go about consulting your clients on the paid media to support these owned programs?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk a little bit about sort of what we do is, I mentioned the make all your marketing social as opposed to doing social marketing, right? Social marketing is a one and done, and but I've got 50 other things that I'm doing. So what we talk about is literally lay down this on top of all the existing paid programs you're doing, which is one of the things in terms of the setup here was we're not doing a lot of paid media other than ongoing programs, and that's the beauty of sort of what we generally will guide and suggest to folks is let's look at what you're already doing. You've got existing traffic hitting the site. You've got existing stuff hitting your Facebook page. You've got existing spend on display ads. You've got existing Google SEM spend. If you spend $1 already to get me to click through somewhere, why wouldn't you give me the chance to go get 5 of my friends and reduce your cost per to 20 cents? And then we will have the secondary conversation of, okay, how much more do we need to add based on our benchmark metrics, like Mike was talking about? We see X% conversion and sharing percentages, et cetera. So we think you should add a little bit more here or add a little bit more there, because based on that conversion percentage, your cost per will look like X.
I guess, can I rephrase my question then? How would you determine minimum paid spend?
Can I take a stab at it?
Sure.
Thanks. I want to cheat and do both. I'm going to do like the pitchman and bundle. I'm going to bundle 2 questions because our approach is we want to sit down at the very beginning and say, what are your objectives? We're going to look at that. If we can meet them, done. If we can't, we're not going to take your business. And we'll guarantee that. We'll say if we can't meet the metrics we've agreed upon in advance, then you get your money back. Because we're that confident in what we do. On the media spend, that's part of the discussion. If somebody comes to us and says we want 3 million participants in an event and we got no promotional strategy, hey, hit the road. Sorry, we're going to pass. So it's a collaborative process of recognizing the clear objectives for the campaign, the overall objectives of the brand, and then being just downright honest and saying, here's what we think can happen, and committing to that on our part.
Are there others who want to take a stab at that one? Because it's relevant to everyone here. So yeah, please.
And remember, it's still 2 easy payments at $24,999. 2 campaigns, buy now.
So weird to see you sitting. Yeah,
Very hard for me.
Right. Do we have other questions?
So I was interested in, and this is sort of a kind of a general question, like how you guys coordinate with like the regular creative ad campaigns and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you don't have those discussions a lot, maybe you do, but a lot of this, what was interesting to me about this is that a lot of what you guys pitched were, it's not just platforms, but ideas, and those ideas have to have some sort of consistency kind of throughout the brand communication.
For us, we're a media platform. So typically we like to rely on the creative agencies or what is already out there, to your point, where we don't want to recreate our own piece of creative. You guys pay a lot of money for people to do that, or you are the people. So the preference is to take that and maybe make some tweaks based on what we know to how it's represented. We're not going to re-edit a 30-second spot, but how we frame it and put it out there into social media so that it is the most appropriate as it can be, because those things are big ticket items and we don't want to reinvent the wheel.
I'd say the same thing. We're a media platform. We're not really involved in the creative side, but we do help you optimize the creative. We help you know and target and segment your groups and your audiences so that the right people are getting the right thing. There's a ton of things that you can do on our system, and we like to talk about what we find is most, from what we've done in the past with our other clients. We like to talk about what we've found that's effective with specific groups of people, so that you can have a head start and target those specific groups with the type of content or creative that you want to send them.
I'll tell you, we see a lot of really ugly dancing between the agencies. That's why
sure
we've
you do.
architected our platform the way we have. It's historically been very complicated for agencies to collaborate and ultimately meet the needs of the client, because they change throughout the actual formulation of a campaign. So we find we're relatively active in the ideation stage with most companies, even when they start with a campaign coming to us. But most importantly, that's why we changed our platform. So now, instead of having to start with a set of wireframes and go through cycles of discussion with the client, when they change things, it's very simple now, and that's really transformative for how we interact with both agencies. And so whoever has the creative, we don't care. We're happy to work either way.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would echo everybody's comment here. Our jobs as technology platforms ultimately is to bring the platform that is easy to use, right? So that the agency, David and his team, can do what they need to do without the technology getting in the way, which is what historically has happened.
Well, one question I want to ask everyone is, so, you've presented just a lot of options, from engagements to cookies created to bribes given, or what do you think is the KPI for each of you that is going to matter most to judge the effectiveness of this program for each of your proposals? So,
for us, it's shares and creating that buzz. I mean, to get to a share, you have to have a lot of the other stuff, time spent and interactions and things like that. But at the end of the day, we're going to measure this campaign by how many people are sharing it with their friends in social media.
I'd say the same. I'd say amplification is our biggest KPI, but then also click-through rates. We measure that a lot, and we compare that to a lot of the pre-existing KPIs that they've seen. But typically we show great performance on click-through rates and also amplification.
Yeah, since we're upping the ante, I would say, certainly the shares, we track the resulting visits, but it's also one of the things that we think is important is what's the ultimate conversion, right? And so tracking all of that from the activity to the impressions to the click-throughs back to conversions is ultimately what we would figure out. Those are the metrics. We'd work with you and the client to figure out what's success for the business.
Reinvigoration. That was the task. We'd measure it to show we got it.
Great. Well, so now I'm going to turn it back to the audience, and now this is the daunting part. I know we've got 4 great. Sorry, I'm so excited. I'm just like dropping everything, and I'm just I don't know who the winner's going to be because I don't have any say in this right now. So so we're just going to do the old-fashioned show of hands, and just see if we can figure out the winner for today's instant RFP. We've got a special prize pack for the winner, so stakes are going up here. So we're just going to go down, and we'll start with the last but not least, Mike from Social Vibe. All right. All right. What about Crowd Factory? Bulb Storm and Relevant. Well, let's do a little face-off between Bulb Storm and Social Vibe because it looks like we got those
2 easy payments.
Two going.
Easy payments.
I can split my price into 2 payments of $24.99 if I need to. Just saying, it's out there.
I think some people double voted, Dave. I'm not going to, we're not going to go back through that, but the videotape is going to show.
Well, this will. We might need some better controls for next time. So this
Right,
whole
exactly.
the mobile thing I hear is huge. And so we'll start on the other one with Bulb Storm, show of hands, and Social Vibe. Wow, I think we got a winner. We got Social Vibe. So
woohoo! Thank you guys.
Congratulations.
So, Mike, how much did you pay all those voters?
Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah, no, my final question was asking Mike how much he paid each of the people that voted for.
50 farm cash apiece. Yeah.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Thanks a lot to all these great panelists.
Yeah.
Great ideas. So thank you.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys. And they had to put more work in than your average everyday,